I am the manager for precious metals sourcing, mainly in LEGOR. So what my business is really trying to get all the precious metals inside the company. So everything that is connected to this topic is under my profession. So what is important for me is not only bring precious metals inside the company, but is also bring precious metals inside the company that are coming from in certain ways. Certain ways that are really that is important for me to let you understand that are connected to the concept of sustainability, because LEGOR, you know, that is very linked to this concept. But what is important for me to understand when I came in LEGOR was what is sustainability, what is the concept of sustainability, because it's very used, maybe abused in these years. So it was important for me to find a way of thinking to report in LEGOR in order to find a way to source material in a good way. So the concept of sustainability for precious metal, this is one. Is something that we need to adapt to the precious metals, because sustainability has really a wide range of interpretations. So the first thing that we made has been to define the concept of sustainability, to find when the concept of sustainability originated. And the first time that we, in the history, in the human history, we spoke regarding sustainability has been in this book. In this book is common named has been Our Common Future, the Brundtland Report, in which has been defined what is sustainability for the first time. And the sustainability is the condition of a development capable of ensuring the satisfaction of the needs of the current generation without compromising the possibility of development and of the future generations to realize their own. So this is very important because it's a way of thinking, is a totally changed way of thinking, because now we understand that what we are doing now don't have impact on the next generations. So what we do now have to be done with the concept that we don't have to impact on next generations. So how can we import this concept into precious metals? So first of all, we define what are the precious metals that we are talking about. The first precious metals are the magic 5 precious metals that we are using in the precious metal chain are mainly gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and rhodium. Yes, we also have iridium, we have ruthenium, but we can say that are different metals because they are very tough to find them from recycling sources and are very not used as these 5 metals. So we will concentrate our attention on these 5 precious metals. On making these, we have to look at the figures that are connected to these precious metals, because we are used to speak regarding recycling, regarding mining, but what are the real figures behind these metals? You can see that if we take in consideration, for example, gold, the percentage of the recycled gold in the market is only the 24% of the global supply of the metal. You can see here the last figures, so they are very updated. And the jewelry consumption, I don't know why we don't see the figure, but it's almost the 46% of the consumption. So for gold, we will see later that is different between, this is different from in relation to the other precious metals, and we will see why. And it will be connected to the what our colleague Pirsak said before. For what concerns silver, approximately is the same. It's 20% of the total supply is originated by the recycled material. For platinum is the 24%. For palladium is the 35%. For rhodium is the 34%. So we have a big part of the supply in the market that is composed by the recycled material. So when we face these figures, we made the second reasoning. That is why we don't use recycled material to produce jewelry. as I would say something that is maybe is not the right place, but is my opinion. We have in the world the primary needs. Okay, as primary needs, we can understand that are, for example, the needs necessary to survive. Okay, for example, drink, to eat something, to have where to don't feel cold. So these are the primary needs. Then we have the secondary needs. Okay, the secondary needs we can understand. For example, we can consider to read a book. Okay, can be a secondary need. We can go to the cinema. But when we speak regarding the luxury market, maybe it's something that we consider, we can consider unnecessary, okay? But we know that is necessary for our living because it's something that we use for affirmation of our personality in the market. So it's something that we need to manage, okay? But how can we transform something that is unnecessary in a sustainable product? Okay, using this material, so using recycled material, because you know that we can source material from three main sources. Okay, we have mining, we have refining, we have grandfathered. Grandfathered is something that we don't face usually because it's something that is considered the old gold, for example, the large bars that are in the central banks from the Third Reich, for example. Okay, so the three main sources of material are these three, okay? And if you take in consideration the mine sources, we have open pit mine, we have underground mine, and artisanal mine. Just to let you understand the difference between these three kind of sources, main kind of sources, we have this one, that is the open pit, okay, an open pit mine. You can see the impact in the environment. Then we have the underground mines that are created underground, as the word suggests. And they are creating caves, enormous caves inside underground. And then we have the third one, it is the worst one, you can say, the artisanal mine, in which there are millions of miners that are working in critical conditions. Okay, so when we are speaking regarding the mining sources, obviously the concept of sustainability is something that we cannot apply. Only in the case for the artisanal miners that are certified, okay? Because there are some mines that are certified that we can consider sustainable. But the concept of mining is not sustainable at all, okay? Because we are impacting in the environment. You can consider that now the big mines, when they are open a project, they have to present a feasibility plan. In the feasibility plan, they have to provide also the restoring on the environment. So when you see the final output of the mine after the processing, after the production, you can see the same land, the same seaside, the countryside that you see before. But inside the ground, there are all the wastes that cannot remove from them. So it's not sustainable at all, okay? So when we face this one, we decide to define the sustainable way to make precious metals as a recycled one. Because this is the only one that can bring you material that is not impacting the environment, okay? Also the movement of the material, because when you refine 1 kilo gold, you don't have to move anything. When you refine, for example, if you produce one ring from the mining production, you have to move 20 tons of material to produce it. So it's not sustainable. While for recycling, you have almost 100% of return of the material that you move. So also the cost, the impact on the environment to move the material from a recycled source is very low. And for example, you can recover from everything, because you can recover gold from industrial scraps, you can recover from jewelry scraps, you can recover from disinvestments, you can recover from the sales of the banks, and you can recover from electronic scraps. So, but for the industrial, for example, we have the plating scraps. So there is a word behind. All this material is collected, is recycled, and is then refined into finished product, into final material that is pure metal, okay? And if you can summarize all the chain of precious metals, you can see the very beginning that starts, like everything starts from the mine, and then comes in the processing process. The refinery transforms into finished material, so into fine metal, and then comes into the five main channels that are central banks, that are jewelry, industry, and investment. And then starts the process of recycling. The process of recycling of precious metals is almost infinity because, as I told you, we cover the 99.99% of the material if you are able to do it as a refinery. So the process, when it started once with mine, it's very tough to finish in a short time. So we need to recycle and recycle and recycle because it's the circular economy the future in this moment, also for precious metals. And there are some international organizations, major international organizations that already defined what are the guidelines to follow. And the first one is the OECD that defined in the Annex 2 what is the policy, okay, to purchase the material, the minerals from conflict area or high-risk areas. Okay, so they define already the rules to follow to be ethics, we can say, no? And the second one is the Non-FRAC Act. Is something that is very enormous act in which there are all the rules also for the financial institutions. But it is a point in which regulates what is the sourcing of material from, for example, DRC. Okay, so we cannot originate material from certain countries. So these two main acts or organizations decided and stated what are the international rules to follow. And the three main organizations operating in the market, in the jewelry market and the precious metal markets that are the Responsible Jewelry Council, London Bullion Market Association, and London Platinum and Palladium Market, taken these international rules and created their own rules in order to certify their members. Okay, for Responsible Jewelry Council, we will see later, Code of Practices and Chain of Custody. For the London Bullion Market Association and the London Platinum and Palladium Market, they created the Responsible Gold Guidance, Responsible Silver Guidance. All these guidances are following the same rules. There are some little bit differences, but are almost the same. The base is almost the same. And for Responsible Jewelry Council, it is interesting for us to understand what is the process, in our opinion, to follow to have material sustainable for our products. We have Code of Practices and Chain of Custody. These are two different certifications, and they are totally different. The first one defines the rules to consider ethics, to consider the human rights respected. So all the procedures that a company has to follow to be compliant with the OECD regulation, okay? And embraces many fields because you can see that are the human rights, the labor rights, the health and safety environment. And it started with I don't know if you saw the movie, the Blood Diamonds. No? So in order to certify all the chain, all the diamonds, they created a sort of chain, totally. And the final certification the name is Chain of Custody. And this Chain of Custody started to track every single step of the material inside the chain, from the mine to the refinery, to the manufacturers, to the final retailers. And this is a different certification from the first one, because this certification is not on the material in terms of the supplier that originates the material, but is in terms of the chains of the material from the beginning up to the retailers. So what is important to see is in the Responsible Jewelry Council Chain of Custody certification, if you are certified, you have to create a document when you are selling the material that is the transfer document, the name is transfer document, that you pass to the next chain, okay? The next point have to take this document, okay, and it creates the chain that make all the chain continuous. It is very important because the final retailers has the confirmation that the products that originated from the manufacturers is coming from a product that is coming from the refinery that is eligible. Eligible, it means that the material is compliant with the first certification, that is the Code of Practices. So with this intersection, we have the confirmation that the product that is at the end of the retailer has the characteristic to be considered ethics, okay? It is very ethical. It is very important, this one. And you know that the trend, the market trend in this moment is moving to a sustainable way. And you can see that in the Paris Agreement, European Green Deal, they are almost included in the law that we have to follow. So it's no more only something that is from an organization, a non-profit organization. It's included in our rules to follow. And also, millennials is the largest portion of the population, is the next leading generation, is very connected to the Sustainable Development Goal. We can see climate change, peace, justice, poverty. So for us, also the war that is currently in Ukraine is something that is totally different to justify, because we grew up in a way in which peace is our standard, okay? So we are very connected to this way of thinking. For this reason, we need to consider the recycling sources as the main sources to produce jewelry. But there is a difference between gold and the other metals. Because as you can see, the composition of the market in which we have the supply from recycled and the consumption from jewelry, we can see that there is a lot of recycled material that can be used to produce all the jewelry in the market. So we can almost say that all the jewelry in the market for silver, platinum, palladium, and rhodium can be used and sourced from recycled sources, okay? The only difference in gold, there is a lack of material. So it means that if you want to continue to produce jewelry in a sustainable way, we have to consume all the recycled material in the market, and then a portion of material originated from the mining sources, but have to be mining sources as the one we saw before, so in which there is a complete traceability of the material, okay? Then there is an additional instrument, okay, because we can use recycled material, but we cannot grant to our customer that we are using only recycled material. But RJC provides us with an extraordinary instrument that is the provenance claim. Okay, the provenance claim is only a document in which we audited from a third party, in which we declare something, okay, that is, for example, for LEGOR, that all the material used to produce our products is coming from recycled sources. So with this intersection between code of practices, chain of custody, and provenance claim, you are able to declare that all your production is coming from recycled sources. And it is very, very important, because in this way you can conclude, you can close the chain between sustainability and finished product. As you can see here, I reported a saying, Navaco, but it's not real because I tried to find the source. There are many sources. Navaco was the most interesting. But we don't inherit that from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. That is the same concept that we saw in the book, Our Common Future. So the way that we are making business now is something that will impact in the future of our children. This is for sure. So we need to act now, okay? And using recycled material, we are immediately acting because in this way we are not impacting the environment. This is the first point.